evening, and welcome to our first edition of Faith Journeys. I am your host, Adair, Rowan, better known as Adair, the anointed disciple, always under righteous obedience, and I am here with a good friend of mine who has just written her first book, Miss Bertha Matthews. Say hello to everyone out there in the YouTube world.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, she's just written her first book, My Journey to Breaking Free of Intimidation and Control. I know some really fantastic people. She's one of them. All right. So, Miss Berth, I just picked up the copy, so you know I haven't had a chance to read it yet. But believe me, I'm gonna read it and give you the review. But I know you, and so I can remember numerous conversations we've had in the past, and you've helped me through some issues, and I know that when you wrote this book, what did you want to do, or what was your hope for this particular book?
I wrote the book because I wanted people to be aware of my journey of breaking free of being controlled and intimidated. I believe that there are people that are being controlled and they're being intimidated, but they don't recognize it because it has become a way of life for them. And so they just think they're supposed to do whatever they're told, especially if it's from somebody specifically, like a family member, a friend, or it can even be a coworker, where someone is manipulating them and having them to do what they would have them to do, as opposed to, say, me deciding for myself what I want to do.
Okay. And I think that a lot of people would be able to identify with that. I think those of us who have gotten past those situations would be remiss to assume that everyone has made it past that. So we're gonna delve into the original title here, the Breaking Free of Intimidation and Control. So let's just talk about the intimidation aspect first and foremost. Give me, a situation or an example that you may have listed in the book that where you faced intimidation and had to work through dealing with that.
Well, when I was intimidated, usually the person that was pushing my buttons, they already knew that they could say and do something to get the reaction that they wanted. The intimidation comes with when you don't have the courage to stand up and say, I disagree with you, I don't believe in that, and I'm not going to do it. Somewhere I had given over my power to other people, not all people, but to other people or individuals that felt like they knew what was best for me. But in the long run, it was sapping me of my energy, my identity, my self-worth. And it got to the point that I was leaning on them for support and direction instead of leaning on God and myself for direction.
All right. Well, that's powerful right there. I mean, I think we've all had moments where, we allowed those situations to get the best of us, and and we've turned to others instead of first and foremost what God said to do, which is trust in Him. And so that's a powerful comment there, Ms. Bird. Let's move on to the control portion. How did you break free of control? And some people may not recognize when someone is being controlling. So kind of give us a little meat to that particular story.
Well, when you're being controlled, you pretty much have been programmed so that, say, for instance, this person knows their body language or a certain way they can look at you, or matter of fact, they can come in the room and change even the atmosphere. I had one individual just stand and stare at me, and immediately my mind started going, well, what did I do? What can I say? I would be looking for a response because that's the control part.
Wow.
Body language, the tone of the voice. If you know them well enough, you know when they're trying to control you, because you're immediately searching for a resolution before it escalates into a confrontation. And the control part is, I want to be in control to keep peace, but that's not the avenue God had me go down. I had to confront.
Wow. 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 That she said a mouthful there, folks. You know, this happens on the job. This happens in your family life. Hey, it even happens at church sometimes, so it's definitely something that we all need to be aware of. We need to make it a point to confront those situations because, sometimes people think that because you're a Christian that you're just supposed to be all meek and mild and never say anything.
Exactly.
And that's not what God said what we're supposed to do. I mean, yeah, we are peacemakers, but we have to confront some things in order for it to be real peace, not just for the moment peace. So. And that's a great thing. So you'll be having your book signing in the next week or so coming up.
October the 29th.
October the 29th at the, what is it called? The Caffeine
Coffee.
Caffeine Coffee Internet and Office Cafe at 5225 Alameda. That's in Houston, Texas, 77004. What's the time for that?
11:30 to 1:30.
11:30 to 1:30. All right. Well, if you know this young lady right here, you know how powerful a woman of God she is. So you need to come on down, pick up your copy, get it signed, and I'm going to make sure she signed mine before she get out of the studio tonight. But, yeah, come on out, support her. This has been a work of love, a labor of love that she's been working at for a while.
Yes.
And you know what? And that reminds me, I know when we briefly talked about this before, we were talking about, and I guess I don't know if that would fall under intimidation or control when we were talking about, one of the things that you struggle with as a student with language and feeling like maybe that, that this would be really hard for you to do, but you press through it. So I don't know if you can just kind of briefly talk about that. I think that would help someone as well.
I started this book a couple of years ago, and I started the draft, and I felt like, well, maybe I knew I was a writer, but what was holding me back is, well, maybe I might not put the right syntax in. I might not put the right word in. And I had a friend talk to me, and she said, look, I've read some of the top ministers' books, and she said if I call their names you'll know who they are. She said, do you know I've read their books and I've seen typos. She said I've seen wrong sentences. She said I've seen things in it that maybe somebody else would have pointed it out. She said, but I wanted to read the book, so I overlooked it. And she said, you have to get past that fear and just go ahead and do it and just follow through. And after she talked to me about that, I just went on and did it. I took a leap of faith. I just jumped in it and kept at it until I completed it.
Wow. Wow, powerful. And I mean, that's part of my journey to breaking free. I got to throw that in there every time. Wow. So look for the book. It's actually out online. I purchased this copy on Amazon.com, baby. Get your copy. I'm telling you, I'm going to be reading it. We're going to talk about this again. She's going to come back, and we're going to talk about this again at a later time. But once again, Caffeine Coffee Internet and Office Cafe, 5225 Alameda, Houston, Texas, 77004, on October 29th from 11:30 to 1:30. She'll be there, book signing, and communing with everyone who comes by. I hope you come out and get your copy. All right. Well, thank you for coming out today.
Thank you, Adair.
And we'll be back to talk about this later. Faith Journeys, Volume 1, baby.